Currently, Korea has no gunshots, waging the second 6.5 war. They say that the Republic of Korea is currently at war. I have given it to you several times so far. Is Korea going to become a liberal democratic country? Or are you going to a communist country? Because we are at a crossroads. 72 years ago, Kim Il-sung took the lead in tanks. It pushed down to the Nikdong River front. Due to illegal intervention by the Chinese military, I took a quick retreat. Today, traitors to that nation, planted with great care for several decades, another Juki faction with Kim Il-sung scholarship students, and under the instigation of the Chinese United Front Operation Department, pro-China forces collude. Due to election fraud and encouraging civil war, we are plunging Korea into extreme chaos. The Republic of Korea is currently facing a rebellion caused by the Democratic Party, the police, the Corruption Investigation Office, and even part of the court participated. I am in a state of great confusion. Even some media outlets are sympathizing with this. This is an extreme crisis situation. Anti-state forces have elected a president with our own hands. Put a sword called the prisoner of war. I'm trying to tie it tightly with a rope. But this is the path of rebellion. The president declared emergency martial law. It can never be a sin. The sin of rebellion. The purpose is to be established only if it violates the national constitution. What kind of civil war is the president, the body of the country, committing? It's definitely not a civil war. That is why in any other country, there is no example of punishing a president for treason. Don't be fooled by the lies of anti-state forces. But the cause of all these crises today is 2022-2024. Total election fraud in the general election. Stealing seats. It was committed by election fraud forces. In the 22nd National Assembly, the Democratic Party, which won 192 seats due to election fraud since the inauguration of the Yoon Seok-il administration, a total of 29 impeachment exports have been carried out, constantly tying the government's hands and feet, tried to bring Korea into anarchy, breathing space for the national economy devastated by the tyranny of the Moon Jae-in administration. With the intention of cutting it off altogether, I only did things that hindered state affairs. 2026, even the minimum core budget for government maintenance, full cut. Various people's livelihood support budgets are also available, without exception. I committed the tyranny of making indiscriminate cuts. They trampled the government to the point where it could not be fully run. Legislative activity also continued to enforce unconstitutional laws. It was a legislative dictatorship. The Democratic Party has been in the National Assembly since it opened in 2002. Not a single day, without exception, I have been engaging in behavior that tarnishes and hinders the government. President Yoon Seok-il, election fraud forces are destroying the Korean liberal democratic system. We had to stop it from collapsing. Court investigations also unilaterally side with the National Election Commission under visible circumstances. The only way to save the country, the National Election Commission server was confiscated. The reality of election fraud, it was exactly what was revealed. That's why the only way to do this, judging that it was martial law. Martial law was declared, which is the president's constitutional authority. In other words, it was a decision to save the country. The prototype created this way is the Democratic Party is anti-North Korea leftist and anti-state forces, even though the president is aware of this situation. If I had just covered it up and finished my term, that is truly a dereliction of duty. President Yoon fought against this reality. To protect the country, martial law was inevitably chosen. It was a choice to protect the liberal democratic system. But the situation is not easy. I am a former public security prosecutor after an investigation in 2014 because the dissolution of the Unified Progressive Party has been completed. I know them very well. Even today, 10 years after the dissolution of the Unified Progressive Party in 2014, the Gyeonggi Eastern Union, a force of the Unified Progressive Party, is alive and well. They call Lee Jae-myung, a mere criminal ex-convict, Seon, a mayor Gyeonggi Province governor. In the end, he is sent out as a presidential candidate. Furthermore, they even elected members of the National Assembly and representatives of large opposition parties, contributed decisively. Currently, CEO Lee Jae-myung is facing 5 trials on 12 charges. He was determined not to go to prison at all costs. I'm struggling. Also, the remaining forces of the Democratic Party and the Unified Progressive Party, by mobilizing the Democratic Labor Federation, Media Labor Union, Teachers Union, etc., we are actively promoting propaganda to the public. Even the Chinese are shamelessly joining in. Now the Democratic Party is suffering from the president's martial law. I'm afraid their election fraud will be revealed. I am trembling in fear because the investigation into election fraud occurred during the Korean War, same as the Incheon landing operation, because it will have a huge ripple effect. This is because the election fraud investigation is a game change. So they put a false frame on the president as a civil war. Also, the Corruption Investigation Office, which does not have the authority to investigate civil war crimes, was appointed. They are acting like they are saying they will investigate the president for treason. First, I will ask the Corruption Investigation Office, is this really justifiable? The Corruption Investigation Office, which has no cases of Civil War prisoners, is investigating Civil War crimes. Isn't it illegal? An arrest warrant was issued without any investigative authority? Isn't it really illegal? It's not the Seoul Central District Court either. A warrant was issued by the Seoul Western District Court. This is really ridiculous. According to the media, after the first arrest warrant was dismissed by the Seoul Central newspaper, in the Western District Court of Seoul by expedient means, a warrant has been issued for his arrest. There were even reports like that. Trust in the Corruption Investigation Office. It's easy to see how low it really is. Second, I will ask the Seoul Western District Court, which issued an illegal arrest warrant to an organization without investigative authority. An arrest warrant was issued. Isn't this illegal? Moreover, the judge in charge, Articles 110 and 111 of the Criminal Procedure Act do not apply. Breaking the principle of separation of powers, an arrest warrant was issued. Isn't this really illegal or unconstitutional? In the end, due to CEO Lee Jae-myung's impatient decision, a communist investigation that did not have the authority to investigate civil war crimes stepped forward. President's arrest warrant for research into Korean law. Also, in the study of international human rights law, applications and issues among members. Didn't you commit such an illegal act? Third, I asked the police, criminal CEO Lee Jae-myung, to go to the cell and not go, do all kinds of things. Also, even if the Corruption Investigation Office goes wild, even the police should not step forward and join the arrest team. The police have the authority to investigate treason crimes. Also, it's not an arrest warrant issued by the police, because there is no reason for the police to act as airborne minions. Moreover, Democratic Party lawmaker Lee Sang-sik, between his party and the headquarters of the National Police, I proudly revealed that it served as a message. So the people say that the Democratic Party, it is a situation where we cannot help but see that the police are giving instructions. Isn't the Democratic Party admitting to involvement in illegal investigations? Moreover, yesterday, administrative head of the court, the director of the Administrative Court Administration, based on Article 110 of the Criminal Procedure Act, In places where military secrets are required, without permission from the person in charge, executing a warrant may not be legal. Presidential security's refusal to execute a warrant may be legally justified. It was revealed like this. Therefore, the police should not act as a warning now. Aren't the police the people's staff? Help support the people when they are having a hard time. And it is time to lead and help the people. You will reach the people with a true people's staff. Our people are part of the police leadership. Put a line in the political world, and on one side, behaving as a corrupt political collaborator. I never want to look like that. We look forward to wise judgment from the police. Fourth, we cannot help but point out the behavior of the Constitutional Court. Lee Mi-seon, Constitutional Court Justice Lee Mi-seon, without consulting with the President, I unilaterally decided on an opportunity to argue and was notified. The Constitutional Court also considers treason, which is the most important item on grounds for impeachment. It is said that the National Assembly recommended that the item on treason be removed. It is difficult to prove and requires numerous witnesses to appear. There's concern that the trial date may be delayed. Really nonsense. It was for that reason. However, regarding important issues that depend on the fate of the country, above all, after sufficient review, don't you need to judge carefully? However, the Constitutional Court, we are trying to carry out an unreasonable trial. This is ahead of Lee Jae-myung's decision to resign. It's just a shallow move to make a ruling. Additionally, Kang Si-ang-won, Secretary General of the Constitutional Court, appearing as a member of the National Assembly on January 9th, each item in the martial law court order, I answered that it does not comply with the current Constitution. He is currently serving as Secretary General of the Constitutional Court. The hearings of the Constitutional Court judges have not yet begun. How and why does the Secretary General do whatever he wants? Are you coming to a conclusion? As a result, the fairness of the Constitutional Court seriously damaged. If the Constitutional Court does it this way, no matter what judgment you make, no one will ever give in to the results. Therefore, I speak to the judges of the Constitutional Court. Don't make judgments that will destroy the country. Take a trial to save the country. Don't pay attention and judge justly. Never again like when President Park Geun-hye was impeached. Don't commit such depression. South Korea is now in its second war on June 25th. War system is at war. Thank you so much. To protect President Yoon, patriotic citizens are stepping forward. Impeachment of President Park Geun-hye 8 years ago, using painful memories as a lesson. As it snows all night long in the harsh winter, we protect the joint in Hanam-dong with a hand bomb. Just like fighting on the Nakdong River front during the Korean War. I'm fighting and holding on. Especially now that young people are rising. It's completely different from 8 years ago. Our wise young people must protect President Yoon Suk-yeol, protecting the liberal democratic Republic of Korea, because I know this very well. President Yoon Suk-yeol's approval rating, let's soar to 46%. The Democratic Party is just struggling. The opposition party sets the frame of civil war. Although it is stealing the public's attention, if election fraud is revealed to the world, I'm afraid we'll face the moment of mass extinction like dinosaurs. I'm afraid. The same goes for large media companies. On the 7th, the Democratic Party, just saying it's election fraud. We even proposed an evil law that punishes up to 3 years in prison. Just mentioning election fraud is criminally punishable. Isn't this what communist socialism does? How is it different from North Korea's Kim Jong-un's reactionary ideology and cultural role? Because that's not enough. The Democratic Party now says it will even censor personal cell phones. Isn't it communism? In addition, the Democratic Party, about election fraud forces such as the Election Completion Committee and the Democratic Party, resisting to protect the president and the country, YouTubers were accused of treason propaganda. If you see something like this, after all, isn't the Democratic Party an anti-constitutional force? If YouTubers accused of being Civil War propagandists want, we will provide free defense. Those who want to protect liberal democracy, shouldn't we protect you? We must protect the president, not Yoon Seok-yeol personally. We must protect the president of the Republic of Korea. The entire nation becomes one and protects the president. This is because it is the very way to protect the system of the Republic of Korea. By restoring President Yoon Seok-yeol with our united strength, quell this mess. We must return Korea to normal. A top-notch country in Korea with complete liberal democracy. Just like that, the responsibility to pass on to our descendants is right for us. Dear citizens, protecting the president, this is the way to protect the Republic of Korea. Free patriotic citizens, let's be together until the end. We will definitely win. Thank you.